Okay, folks, so got through the rain. It's kind of a shower rain, really. Didn't last all that long, but still got a bit wet, but it wasn't too bad. And I managed to get a bag from a shop to cover the camera with, so at least it wouldn't get wet. And I didn't mind me getting wet. You know, it's funny as well, because I've probably said this on vlogs, I'm not sure, but you know, usually I don't like getting wet. Usually I hate the rain. But today, for some reason, as long as my camera was fine, I didn't mind. Weird. Anyway, so that aside, whilst I've been walking around the Tower of London today, you see, that's the thing with me. I am full of ideas a lot of the time. Loads of different things pop into my head. I never ever do anything about them. But I've had this idea. Because of my interest in the Zeitgeist movement and oh great, I've forgotten his name again, Jacques Fresco and the Venus Project, and like I say, the Zeitgeist movement thing and the films, and to put it in his immortal words, you know, and when he says this, he means the whole system that we have today, not just the cities that we live in, but the whole structure, everything. At least that's what I'm taking it to be and what he's meaning. But to put it in his immortal words, this shit's gotta go. And I love that. It's so cool. Do you know what I mean? No nonsense, straightforward talking. Love it. Anyway, so like I say, being an artist that I am, that I don't practice very much. You know, I still consider myself an artist, I guess, really. Although these days I do wonder. But anyway, that's all totally immaterial. The thing is that walking around the Tower of London today, and because I've been doing that a few of these palaces, do you know what I mean? And it's got me thinking about history and how they preserve it and how they turn these places into tourist attractions and people walk around and learn the history and all that, and we marvel at how they lived in them days and all this lot and blah 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 blah. And like I say, keeping the theme of the Zeitgeist movement thing. Now, as you can see, at the moment I'm in Tate Modern even. And I'm in the Turbine Hall. For those that don't know, this used to be a power station at one time, and this is where the turbines were that generated electricity. But now it's an art gallery, and it has been for quite a few years now. And it's on the way to being extended as well. Should be open sometime next year, the extension, which is through there. Well, not literally through there, but on that side of the building. But anyway, and I've done a couple of videos on the construction of that thing. Anyway, again, I'm trying to stop sidetracking myself. Basically, like I say, it got me thinking. I mean, I'd probably never get to be able to do this. One, I haven't got the funds, the means, and so for me to be able to, and I've had loads of ideas for this place, loads of ideas, and I've even suggested it to a couple of people in this place, not necessarily people who are in charge necessarily, but just the general staff sort of thing, and I've kind of said to them like, oh, you know, this idea, that idea you could do in there, and this, that and the other, and yeah, I don't know, they think it's a great idea, whatever, but you know, they're not really that interested in necessarily implementing it, because why would they? Anyway, the thing is, like I said, I've had loads of ideas for this turbine hall myself that I would love to do, and this recent idea, like I say, is to build or construct. Now at the moment they've got this construction thing here. This isn't, I don't mean as in they're building something, I mean this is an art installation, believe it or not, and I'm just underneath it. When you go upstairs you can see that there's a load of triangle boxed bedding things, you know, for not bedding as in sleeping, I mean like plants, you know. It's like, so anyway, look, I don't know exactly what it's about, because I'm not, to be quite honest, I'm not that interested, to be quite honest, you know, whatever. But anyway, the point is, like I said, that I was thinking what we could do is you construct, maybe you do it like as in ruins, so it's like as if like, what do you call it, great, brain's gone to sleep. Archaeological dig, right? So you do it like an archaeological dig. You fill this whole space, right? This whole space, right? As much as you possibly can, and they allow you to. You know what I mean? Because you might only be able to go so far. You know, I don't know what the constraints may or may not be on utilising this space. But, like I said, imagine that you construct a sort of like archaeological dig, or maybe even there'll be two sections. So you'll have one section where it's an archaeological dig and they find the ruins of the kind of city that we live in today. This is the point, right? We make it look as though we've unearthed a city. You know, the cities that we live in today, the modern skyscrapers, the infrastructure that we see today. You know, London as it is today, right? From like, I don't know, 200 years hence or whatever. If the Venus Project ever got initiated, and if they ever did it, then you sort of like rediscover how we used to live. You know, now. In a couple of hundred years time, sort of thing. You discover it as an archaeological dig, so you make like a ruins. Maybe you could make a ruins of the you know, it'll have to be all scaled down, obviously, do you know what I mean? But you know, maybe some sections you do as a sort of full scale, but some sections you do sort of like a, you know, obviously miniature scale kind of thing, whatever. But then, you know, you do sort of like a ruins of like the Shard or something, or the Gherkin, or whatever other iconic buildings that now at the moment stand as, you know, the latest in building construction and in this world of ours. And then maybe other sections where you have maybe an actual reconstruction of a modern 20th century apartment or home even, do you know what I mean? Maybe a detached or semi-detached house or something like that. You know, you build an actual sort of reconstruction of that inside this space, and you have this exhibit as this. You know, the whole theme, the whole idea is we look at how we're living now and how possibly sometime in the future generations will look at how we lived in the cities that we live in now, and how, you know, what perspective, do you know what I mean? Do they look upon it and think like, wow, how could we have lived like that? Or do they think like, oh wow, you know, that's interesting that they use that form of energy, or what, do you know what I mean? Anyway, so like I said, this would be a fantastic space to be able to do that. And I think also, maybe, because like they do in the Tower of London, where they have reenactors, people dressed in the costumes of the day, reenacting the times when those people were around, sort of thing. Maybe what you could do is reverse that, and you could perhaps have people acting in the role of people 200 years from now, say, sort of thing, and they would be giving a tour of, you know, the ruins, the unearthed archaeology of the 21st century. You see what I mean? So they unearth it, and then they start saying this is how they used to live back in the 21st century, blah 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 blah, sort of thing. I mean, you know, I don't know. Do you set it 200 years in the future, 500, 100? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Like I say, this is literally just popped into my head this afternoon. This idea. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking maybe. You know, I'd love to see that, you know what I mean? And again, the whole idea, the whole theme would be to promote this idea of Jacques Fresco's idea of completely rebuilding a city. Do you know what I mean? Never mind sort of building nice pretty buildings and this, that and the other and blah 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 and patching up what we've already got or this, that and the other, but start again, completely start again. Now that sounds really dramatic and sounds like, what? You couldn't do that. But I don't know. I mean, if you've got the will, and he reckons we definitely got the technology to be able to do it, and I don't discount that at all. I think that's probably quite correct. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, the thing is, I reckon it's doable, but it's just the willingness to be able to do it. Do you know what I mean? And I understand as well, and I get that some of these historic buildings, and some like St. Paul's, for instance, or Westminster Abbey, or wherever you want to think of, you know what I mean? Iconic historical buildings, do we necessarily want to see them just get flattened? Well, no, not really. But, you know, so I must admit the logistics of it, the exact how you go about it, I can't even begin to, get my head around it, to be quite honest. But I like what he's suggesting, and I think, ultimately for our own good as a species, I think it's worth doing. Do you know what I mean? And I think as a way of provoking thought and provoking, ideas, and a way of making people think about these things, because I mean, other than the fact that I've gone on about it, and other than the fact that, like, there's a few people know about the zeitgeist and about the Venus Project, and Jacques Fresco himself, at any opportunity and every opportunity, will give out his message and tell people about this idea and these ideas of his. Despite all of those things, I think it's not in the mainstream. Nobody really talks about it. Nobody really takes it that seriously. Do you know what I mean? So the thing is that, for me, I think it would be pretty awesome. Do you know what I mean? So, and as I said, I mean, the thing is that, like, as I say, I think it would be pretty awesome, because that it's funny, because, like, I'm thinking about Cenk Uygur, and Cenk Uygur, whenever there's an art story and an artist does something, or a performance piece, or whatever, and generally he doesn't get it. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't really understand why do artists need to make some sort of statement about particularly current affairs or whatever. They're supposed to be artists and just paint pretty pictures. At least I think that's kind of where he's coming from. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's where he's coming from. And the thing is, for me, I totally get it. I mean, an artist isn't necessarily just about painting pretty pictures. At the end of the day, an artist, or an artist's job, is to make comment on the zeitgeist. Zeitgeist, by the way, if people are not aware, actually means the movement in the time. Not what's it means. It means the current in vogue ideas and way of life. Is it something like that? Anyway, something on those lines. I can't. Anyway, again, just check it out. Whatever. But that's what an artist's job is. An artist's job is to make comment, social comment, to push the boundaries of what art is supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? That's what you're supposed to do. That's part of your job as an artist. As an artist, it's almost partly like an obligation that you're supposed to push the boundaries. You're supposed to push what's acceptable as art, you know what I mean, or what is considered as art, and you're supposed to have a social commentary to some degree. Do you know what I mean? Yes, this, you can do also just pretty paintings as well. Nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely fine. And I love that as well. Do you know what I mean? But I think primarily, this is just my opinion, other artists might have a completely different opinion, and that's just as valid as mine. But I believe that an artist's primary job is to push those boundaries, and is to push the ideas and thinking of the day, you know what I mean, and challenge views and stuff and what have you, sort of thing. And I think that's what an artist is about. Do you know what I mean? Or at least at least one aspect, if you like. Do you know what I mean, of being an artist. But anyway, the other thing is, like I say, so following on from that, is that this idea about building a sort of a city, or partly of a city that's been unearthed, that's been it is like 20th century, 21st century, but we're viewing it from the point of view that we're supposed to be like 200 years, 300 years, 500 years in the future, and we're looking at how we lived now. I know that I'm not probably. I hope that's coming across right. But yeah, so that's my idea basically. I know I've rattled on for a good half an hour at least now by now. But I think, because like I say, I just, it'd be a great way. I mean, this gallery gets a lot of visitors, internationally renowned and all the rest of it, and it gets a lot of customers, do you know what I mean, throughout the year, and I think this would be a great place and a great space to be able to push that idea. I hope, do you know what I mean, or at least it's one aspect, one way of doing it, but again, that's just my if you want, grandiose idea. Don't think it'll ever happen. because I'm full of ideas but never any action, sadly. And like I say, I wouldn't even begin to know how you go about it. And this gallery, right, this space, because I've tried inquiring about other little projects and other little ideas that I've had about using this space, and I've actually made inquiries about it, I've actually asked about it, and there is a massive waiting list. I mean, you know, it's a good couple of years, easy. And then you can't be just any old Tom, Dick and Harry. You've got to be an established artist before you can get any look in, really, do you know what I mean? It's the typical what's the name of the art world, that's the way it is, you know what I mean? It is a bit snobby, and it is a bit, you know, sort of like who you know and all this carry on and blah 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 and names and all that carry on. But, you know, I don't know, maybe you, or maybe I'm saying you, maybe I speak to, or try to get to speak to more established artists, maybe. To get them on board, maybe, because, you know, if they've got a name behind them, do you know what I mean? But again, what's the realities of that? What's the realities of me ever being able to talk to someone like, say, Damien Hirst, for instance? Do you know what I mean? But if I could, I would put that idea to him, see what he thought. He might not like the idea at all, I might think it's a load of pants. Do you know what I mean? And I have no interest in it whatsoever. And then again, he might think like, yeah, wow, that's a fantastic idea, whatever, blah, 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 blah. He might have his own views on it and how to do it and all the rest of it, but the point is, having a name like that on board and then approaching somewhere like this, you've got far better chance of it actually materialising and happening. Do you know what I mean? So, anyway, so that's my idea. So I'll leave it there for now, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye for now.